The galaxy was alive with the hum of countless civilizations. Star systems teemed with life, from small mining colonies to massive empires waging silent wars across the void. Yet in all this activity, one corner of the galaxy had remained largely uncharted, a region whispered about in secret and avoided by most. Humans had been quiet, almost invisible, but rumors of their hidden power had begun to stir fear among the stars. In a small observation outpost near the edge of human territory, the alien species known as the Vrilin were the first to detect it. A signal, unlike anything they had ever seen, pulsed across the void. It was strong, calculated, and deliberate, a massive energy signature moving with purpose. The Vrilin scientists stared at their instruments, disbelief written across their elongated faces. "What is that?" one whispered, voice trembling. It is unlike any fleet we know." The signal grew stronger by the hour, a constant pulse that seemed to radiate intelligence. The Vrilin quickly identified its source, a human battleship, larger than anything in their database. It was not just a warship, it was a statement. The very presence of the ship declared that humans were no ordinary species. "Prepare a scouting mission," the commander ordered. His voice was calm but his mind raced. "We must understand what we are dealing with before the others hear." A small squad of ships was assembled, sleek and fast, designed for stealth rather than combat. Their pilot, Larek, had spent his life exploring uncharted regions, but even he felt a chill run down his spine. "We are about to see humans up close," he said quietly. "And I fear we are not ready." The squadron moved into the region of the signal. Stars stretched endlessly around them, distant suns casting pale light on their hulls. As they drew closer, the energy readings from the human battleship grew almost unbearable. Shields, weapons, and engines emitted signals far beyond the Vrylan's understanding. The ship's design was elegant yet deadly, with a hull that shimmered with strange energy and weapons that pulsed like silent lightning. "Steady," Larek muttered. "Do not show aggression. Observe and report." As they neared, the first glimpse of the battleship appeared. Even from a distance it was terrifying. Towers of energy rose from its deck, massive turrets bristling with power. Shields flickered like invisible barriers around it, shimmering with blue and white light. The human battleship moved with a calm precision, gliding through the void as if it owned the space around it. The Vrylan pilots exchanged uneasy glances. No alien fleet had ever moved this way. No weapon systems had ever seemed this advanced. It was not just size or strength, it was control, intelligence, and strategy embodied in steel and energy. Suddenly, the battleship shifted its position. Sensors on the Vrylan ships flared in alarm. The humans were watching. They did not need to fire. The mere presence of the ship radiated authority. Every movement of the alien squadron was anticipated before it happened. Larek's heart raced. He had expected a fleet to fight back, perhaps attack, but the humans simply observed, calculating every action. "Pull back, slowly," Larek ordered. His voice shook, though he did not know whether from fear or awe. The squadron attempted to retreat, but the human ship adjusted its position, subtly guiding them away. It was not violence, it was control. A warning. In the observation decks of the human battleship, humans moved calmly. Their eyes scanned displays, hands hovered over controls, and the faint hum of the ship's systems filled the room. They did not shout, they did not panic. They were patient, waiting to see how the aliens would react. One thought ran through their minds: curiosity has a price. The alien squadron barely escaped, shaking and terrified. Back at their base they reported everything: the size, the power, the precision, and the intelligence. "They are not like any species we have known," Larek said, voice heavy with dread. "One glimpse is enough to know, if we challenge them we do not stand a chance." Across the galaxy the message spread. The humans were no longer just a mysterious civilization. They were a force to be reckoned with, a silent predator watching from the shadows. Every species that heard the report felt the same chill in their hearts. The warnings were clear: do not enter human space. Do not challenge them. Pride and curiosity would come at a deadly cost. And as the alien fleet shuddered at the sight of the battleship, humans continued their silent vigil. They did not need to strike. They did not need to boast. The galaxy had already learned the first lesson. The human battleship was not just a weapon, it was a message, and the message was clear. Their doom would come to anyone who underestimated humanity. News of the human battleship spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Every species that received the report was shaken. Ships that had explored the farthest reaches of space halted their missions. Fleets that had once been proud and fearless now trembled at the thought of a single human battleship. On a distant world, a massive council convened. The leaders of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations gathered in a floating chamber above a bright, swirling gas planet. Each species sent its wisest and strongest representatives. They had heard the rumors about humans before, but nothing prepared them for this sight. The human battleship was real and its power was undeniable. Elder Erica of the Vrylan spoke first. Her voice was calm but carried weight across the chamber. Our scouts have returned. They have seen the human battleship. It is unlike anything we have ever encountered. Its size, its weapons, its energy shields, they are beyond our understanding. We must take caution. A murmur ran through the chamber. Some leaders whispered doubts while others showed fear openly. Lord Tharn of the Garathi, a massive armored species, slammed his clawed hand on the table. Caution? Caution will not save us. We should strike first, destroy this ship before it grows stronger. Erica shook her head slowly. Strike? Do you not see? They are not like us. They do not act recklessly. Every move is calculated. Attack them and you will face destruction. The chamber fell silent. For the first time, the leaders of the galaxy felt a common fear. Humans were patient, intelligent, and far stronger than anyone expected. A young leader of the Lunari stepped forward. If they are so powerful, can diplomacy work? Can we send a message or must we avoid them entirely? Erica's eyes narrowed. Diplomacy may buy time, but humans do not negotiate from weakness. They do not act without purpose. The first warning has already been given. They watched our scouts. They let them return alive but with a message. Every species that challenges them will pay a price. The leaders whispered among themselves. The message was clear. Pride and ambition had to be measured. Curiosity alone could lead to ruin. Outside the chamber, transmissions carried the news to distant empires. Merchants paused trade routes near human space. Explorers turned back from previously mapped sectors. Even warlords reconsidered expansion plans. Humans had demonstrated control without firing a shot. Their power was not just physical, it was psychological, a force that could shape entire civilizations without moving a weapon. Meanwhile, in human space, the battleship remained where it had been. Ships glided silently in formation, cities on nearby planets glowed with faint energy, and humans moved calmly. They observed but they did not act. They did not need to. The galaxy had already received the warning. The first lesson had been delivered. Back in the council, Erica concluded her speech. The humans are not merely another species. They are a standard, a force, a presence the galaxy cannot ignore. We survive only by understanding them, and by respecting the warning we have received. A murmur of agreement spread through the council. Even the boldest species realized the truth. Humans were untouchable and their patience was as dangerous as their power. Yet, in the shadows, a few voices whispered rebellion. We cannot live in fear forever, one leader said quietly. We must find a way to challenge them. Their words carried ambition and danger, but also ignorance. They did not yet understand that human patience could wait centuries for the right moment to act. And across the stars, humans continued their silent watch. They did not rush. They did not panic. They waited, knowing the galaxy had taken notice, and that those who did not heed the warning would soon learn the price of arrogance. The galaxy had seen its first glimpse of human power. And now, every species knew. One wrong move could mean the end of their fleet, and perhaps even their civilization. A small alien squadron slipped silently into the outer edges of human space. The mission was simple, or so they thought. Observe the human battleship. Collect data. Return alive. But even as they crossed the invisible border, a chill ran through the pilots' minds. Something about this mission felt different. The squadron was led by Larek, a skilled Vrylan pilot who had explored uncharted regions before. He had seen strange worlds, alien phenomena, and even minor conflicts. But nothing compared to this. Stay sharp, he ordered. Humans are not like any species we've encountered. Every move must be careful. As they approached the battleship, the first sight of it struck them silent. It floated majestically in the void, larger than any ship they had imagined, its hull glowing with blue and white energy. Massive turrets bristled along its sides, and shimmering shields surrounded the ship like a translucent fortress. Even from a distance, it radiated authority, power, and control. Sensors on the alien ships went haywire. The energy readings were off the charts, far beyond anything the squadron had trained to handle. One pilot gasped. It's like the ship is alive. Larek did not respond. He felt it too, the subtle pressure in space, the weight of being watched. Humans did not attack immediately, but their presence was unmistakable. Every movement of the squadron seemed anticipated before it even happened. The aliens began scanning the battleship. Its engines, weapons, and energy fields were unlike any technology known to them. The humans' precision, the elegance of their design, and the sheer scale of the ship left the squadron in awe. But awe quickly turned to fear. Suddenly, one of the alien ships drifted too close. Without warning, the human battleship activated a massive energy pulse, not to destroy but to warn. The ship's shields flared, pushing the intruder back with an invisible force. Systems on the alien ship flickered and alarms screamed. Larek shouted over the comms, "Pull back! Everyone pull back now!" But retreat was not simple. The human ship's positioning was perfect, cutting off potential escape routes with subtle, precise movements. It was not an attack. It was control, a lesson in patience and power. The aliens felt the full weight of human authority without a single shot fired. Finally, after tense minutes that felt like hours, the squadron managed to retreat beyond the range of the energy pulse. Hearts raced and hands shook. The human battleship remained calm, still, almost regal, as if it had done nothing at all. Back at their command center, the squadron reported everything. Larek spoke, voice heavy with disbelief and fear. "It is not just the ship, it is the humans themselves. Their control, their patience, they are beyond comprehension. One glance is enough to know. Challenge them and you do not stand a chance." Across the galaxy, the story spread. No species could ignore it. Humans were not merely advanced. They were untouchable, patient predators who waited for the right moment to act. Any fleet, any species, that dared enter their space risked total annihilation. Meanwhile, humans observed silently. They had noticed the intrusion from the beginning, but no unnecessary action was taken. To them, this was a lesson, a demonstration that curiosity has consequences. The galaxy would remember this. The aliens would remember this. And every future intruder would too. The first scouting mission had returned alive but changed forever. The message was clear: humans were not to be tested. Pride, ambition, and curiosity could all be punished, without warning, without chaos, and without mercy. In the void, the human battleship continued to glide silently, a calm, unstoppable force, and the galaxy learned another truth. One mistake in human space could be the last mistake any species ever made. The return of the alien scouting squadron sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Their reports were chilling. Every word described the human battleship, its overwhelming power, and the silent authority it radiated. Pride, curiosity, or ignorance could no longer be tolerated. Humans had made that very clear. The Council of Alien Species reconvened, this time in hushed tones. Leaders of great civilizations argued quietly, their faces pale with unease. Elder Erica of the Vrylin addressed them, her voice firm and measured. "Our scouts have seen humans up close," she said. "They are patient, intelligent, and precise. One glance at their battleship is enough to break the courage of any fleet. We have no choice but to heed their warning." A representative of the Garathi, still defiant, growled. "A single ship cannot be that powerful. Surely we can find a weakness." Erica shook her head. "It is not just the ship. Humans themselves are unmatched. They anticipate, control, and strike with perfect timing. Do you not understand? One wrong move, and your entire fleet is lost before you know it." Across the galaxy, transmissions carried the warning. Trade routes were halted. Explorers turned back. Even the boldest warlords paused, reconsidering any plans to challenge human space. The message was clear: enter human territory at your own peril. Meanwhile, the human battleship glided silently through its patrol zones. Cities on nearby planets glimmered with soft energy, and smaller human vessels moved in formation, scanning the void. The humans did not announce themselves. They did not strike. Their warning was quiet, precise, and undeniable. Sensors on alien ships that approached human borders detected strange energy fields. These fields were not weapons in the conventional sense. They were barriers, warnings, and tests of observation. Any misstep triggered subtle but unmistakable consequences. The message could not be ignored. Humans controlled their space and they would not tolerate intrusions. In the Alien Council, fear mixed with respect. "We must avoid them," one elder said quietly. "Any fleet that ignores their power will be destroyed." This is no longer speculation, it is fact. Erica's gaze swept the chamber. Let this be a lesson. Humans are not merely another civilization. They are a force beyond comparison. They do not act recklessly. They wait, they observe, and they decide the fate of anyone who enters their space. Across the stars, whispers spread. Merchants told cautious tales. Scouts and explorers recounted the sheer scale and elegance of the battleship. Even those who had not seen it firsthand felt the weight of its presence. Humans had achieved something no other species could, a silent control over the galaxy's fear. Yet, in the shadows of distant star systems, a few voices murmured. Perhaps they can be tested. Perhaps we can find a flaw. Ambition burned in their words, but caution tempered it. These few did not yet realize the patience and precision of humans. Meanwhile, humans continued their quiet watch. They did not need to attack. They did not need to warn with threats. Their presence alone conveyed authority. Any fleet that attempted to challenge them would soon learn the consequences. The galaxy had received its warning. Pride had limits. Curiosity had costs. Ambition had boundaries. And the humans, they remained calm, patient, and always observing, ready to teach the next lesson to any species daring enough to ignore it. Despite all the warnings, a small but bold faction of the Garathi decided to challenge the humans. Their pride would not allow them to retreat, and their ambition blinded them to the stories of the human battleship. Fleet commanders gathered in secret, preparing for what they believed would be a decisive strike. Commander Vor, a tall and heavily armored Garathi leader, addressed his fleet. We cannot live in fear forever. Humans may have one battleship, but we have numbers. Tonight, we show them that arrogance can be punished. The fleet moved swiftly toward human space, engines burning brightly against the darkness of the void. Every ship was armed to the teeth, every weapon ready. They were confident, overly so. Meanwhile, in human space, the humans observed. Their battleship glided silently through the void, massive and calm, with smaller vessels patrolling nearby. Sensors detected the incoming Garathi fleet instantly. Humans did not panic. They did not rush. They did not fire blindly. Instead, they calculated every move with perfect precision. As the Garathi fleet crossed the boundary, alarms rang on their ships. Red warning lights flashed and energy fields from the human battleship rippled through space, disrupting engines and communications. The aliens faltered, their formation breaking under invisible pressure. Commander Vor cursed. Impossible. They should not be able to do this without even attacking. Then it began. Pulses of energy struck the Garathi ships, not randomly but with perfect accuracy. Engines failed, weapons malfunctioned, and ships collided in panic. It was a display of precision, not destruction for the sake of violence. Humans were teaching a lesson, striking only where necessary to make a point. The Garathi tried to retreat, but the human fleet adjusted its formation instantly. Escape routes were blocked, and every maneuver the aliens attempted had already been anticipated. Panic spread through the fleet like wildfire. Ships that were supposed to be strong were destroyed effortlessly, while others were crippled, left drifting helplessly in the void. Commander Vor shouted over the comms, his voice trembling. Fall back. Retreat. We cannot fight this. By the time the clash ended, only a handful of Garathi ships remained. They limped back to their homeworld, battered, humiliated, and terrified. A message had been sent, clear and undeniable: never enter human space again. Across the galaxy, the reports traveled faster than light. Species who had doubted the humans now knew the truth. They were not just technologically advanced. They were unstoppable, patient, and deadly in a way no one could have imagined. Meanwhile, the humans returned to their calm routine. Cities continued to glow softly, fleets resumed their patrols, and the battleship remained poised, silent, and in perfect control. No victory celebrations were needed. The lesson had been delivered, and the galaxy had learned it well. Back in alien councils, leaders whispered among themselves. Pride had been punished. Curiosity had been crushed. Any species considering challenge or intrusion into human space now hesitated, their fear mingling with awe. Humans watched quietly, patiently. They did not gloat. They did not need to. The galaxy had seen their power firsthand, and the consequences of arrogance had been made clear. The humans had demonstrated that control, patience, and precision were more powerful than numbers or reckless courage. The galaxy had received its first true demonstration. And from now on, every civilization knew, to challenge humanity was to invite destruction, and no one could predict when or how it would come. The galaxy had changed forever. News of the Garathi fleet's destruction spread like wildfire. Alien species that had once whispered rumors about humans now spoke in fear and awe. Pride, ambition, and curiosity had been punished, and every civilization felt the weight of the human warning. On the Garathi homeworld, Commander Vor faced the Council of Elders. His once proud fleet was shattered. Only a few ships had returned, battered and barely functional. "We underestimated them," he said, voice heavy with shame. "Their power, their precision, it is beyond anything we imagined. We cannot fight them. We cannot negotiate. We can only avoid them." Elder Tharn nodded slowly. "The price of arrogance has been paid," he said. "Let this be a lesson for every species in the galaxy." Across distant star systems, other species reconsidered every plan they had ever made. Trade routes were altered, explorers turned back, and ambitious warlords abandoned their dreams of expansion. Humans had shown the galaxy that power was not measured by numbers or size, it was measured by intelligence, patience, and control. Meanwhile, in human space, nothing had changed. The battleship glided calmly through the void. Smaller vessels continued to patrol silently, and cities on nearby planets shone with steady energy. Humans did not celebrate their victory. They did not boast. They did not need to. The galaxy had already understood the lesson. Alien historians recorded every detail of the battle. Scholars analyzed reports of the Garathi strike, noting the precision and efficiency of the human response. "They are not merely advanced," one elder wrote. "They are untouchable. They do not need to fight recklessly. Their patience alone ensures victory. Any intrusion is already doomed." Even those who had not seen the battleship firsthand felt the weight of its presence. Stories spread quickly, turning humans into legends. Pride had been punished. Curiosity had been checked. Ambition had learned boundaries. Yet, some whispers of defiance remained in the farthest corners of the galaxy. "Can humans be challenged?" a voice wondered quietly. "Is there any weakness?" But caution always tempered the curiosity. Those who had seen the battleship up close knew better. They had felt the pressure, the control, the silent threat of destruction, and they understood that human patience could wait centuries for the perfect moment to act. Back in human space, humans continued their quiet expansion. Fleets moved with calm efficiency, cities grew steadily, and the presence of humanity spread silently. They did not announce their power. They did not seek glory. But every species in the galaxy had learned to respect it. The Garathi, the most recent lesson, had returned to their homeworld broken but alive. Their story traveled faster than light. The galaxy now knew, any who challenged humans would pay the ultimate price. Pride, arrogance, or ignorance could no longer exist near human space. And in the quiet of the stars, humans watched. Patient, calculating, and ever-present. Their victory had been silent, their lesson clear. The galaxy had felt the price of arrogance, and no civilization would ever forget it. Humanity's influence spread not through chaos or destruction, but through fear, respect, and the understanding that some powers are untouchable, and some civilizations cannot be challenged. The galaxy had learned. Pride had been humbled. And humans continued to watch, silent, eternal, and unstoppable. The galaxy had been changed forever. Stories of the human battleship and the destruction it caused had spread to every corner of space. Alien species whispered of humans not as rumors or myths, but as a force beyond understanding, a civilization that demanded respect and fear. Across distant worlds, scholars recorded the events in great detail. Students and leaders studied the Garathi disaster, the subtle warnings humans had given, and the calm dominance of the battleship. "Humans are not just powerful," one elder said. "They are patient, intelligent, and unstoppable when necessary. One misstep can cost entire civilizations." Humans, however, did not celebrate. They did not boast. The battleship remained in silent patrol, cities shimmered quietly on nearby planets, and smaller vessels glided through space with perfect coordination. They did not need recognition. The galaxy had already seen their power, and that recognition had come naturally. Alien leaders spoke cautiously. Traders avoided human space. Explorers charted new routes to bypass it. Warlords abandoned ambitions that would have brought them too close. Pride had been punished. Curiosity had been tamed. Ambition had been measured. Humans had become the ultimate standard of power. Yet, in the farthest reaches of the galaxy, some whispered, "Could humans be challenged? Could there be a flaw?" Their voices were cautious, laced with both fear and curiosity. But the lesson was clear. Human patience could last centuries and their calculation was unmatched. Any who ignored this would pay the ultimate price. The battleship continued to glide silently, a symbol of control and dominance. Its presence alone reshaped the galaxy. Aliens told stories of it to warn younger generations. Do not cross humanity. Do not test them. Pride brings ruin. Humans had achieved something no other species had. They had become a legend not through war or conquest, but through calm, precise power and unmatched intelligence. The galaxy respected them. The galaxy feared them. And slowly, every civilization learned to measure themselves against humans, knowing that some forces in the universe were untouchable. In the quiet darkness of space, humans watched and waited. Their victories were silent. Their power was absolute. Their lessons permanent. The legacy of humanity was clear. To exist in their shadow was to respect their power, and to ignore it